Hey, welcome back, everybody. You know and love our next guest as not only one of the funniest couples in Hollywood, but also the most candid, dare I say. We're so excited to welcome them to the show together. We get a twofer here with Kristen Bell and Daxs Shepard, all the way from sunny Cali. Great to have you both with us together.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I think we're in a similar situation. Yeah, I heard you talking to your child just off screen, and ours are just downstairs. So, who knows what'll happen?
Listen, you've been together since 2007, and I'm going to be really frank because in Hollywood terms, that's like a gazillion years. So just want to know if you've learned anything new from each other during this lockdown.
What? Please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like that's actually my takeaway from this lockdown is I'm actually getting to know the people that I thought I knew and giving and having all these light bulb moments like, oh, wow, I didn't know you thought that. I thought you would have felt differently, but it's just a reminder that you don't walk in anyone else's shoes and, asking questions, not feeling like you know the root of someone is a more interesting way to live. And we've asked each other a lot more questions, hung out 24 hours a day for 5 months, which is on a marriage.
Yeah. As I've said, we had a really well-oiled machine where we saw each other 2 hours a night. We were nailing
heaven.
It.
It was heaven.
Just doing great at that. And all of a sudden, times up by 8. Factor of 8. That's a big leap.
On this show, we have very open and honest conversations. And that's one of the things we love so much about you as a couple is that you've been so open and honest about the highs and the lows of your relationship. So how has this quarantine affected your relationship?
I was terrible at the homeschooling. I'm a complete failure. I started wondering if kids even need an education. I'm certainly not using my education. And Kristen was great at it. And all of a sudden, it's very lopsided. I'm doing nothing for 4 hours a day.
Yeah, but what happens out of that is that he acknowledges that, and then he recognizes, oh, she's taken on homeschooling all day. She's probably stressed. I can see it and hear it in her voice. So when he gets home from doing his podcast, he'll say, honey, why don't you go take a walk? Or why don't you go knit in the attic? Or what? Like he's taking care of me and saying, here's your time. And I think that's kind of what quarantine's taught us is that you sometimes have to look out for your teammates.
Yeah, I want to hear more about that, Kristen and Daxs, because like you, I've got 2 kids at home. And it has been so hard just trying to meet their needs, right? Like be a good mom, be a good parent. And at the same time working. I just never feel like I'm doing either really well. So please share more on that front.
Working moms should feel a little bit okay about it because you're leading by example. By being a hardworking mom, in the moment your child might say, I don't want you to go to work. I want you to play Play-Doh with me. And they might be sad about it. But in retrospect, they will say, man, my mom was a baller. She worked so hard. She kept a family together. She had a career. She followed her dreams. And I think the best example we can be for our kids is being fully formed human beings. That's to lead by example. So I need to be a fully formed woman and human being to be the best example for my children. And that's not a martyr.
And I know that you've got 2 girls, 5 and 7. I've got a 6-year-old. She falls right in the middle. So we're all kind of experiencing the same thing. Marcy's son Dash is just a little bit older as well.
Right. Party time!
I knew it was going to happen. Hi, Marquesa.
It's your world. We're just passing through it.
Well, I'll try to ask a serious question with a dog here, my daughter here, because, that's what happens when we're at home. We are living through this awakening, I'll put it that way, for a lot of people, white people. And I want to know, what are the conversations sounding like in your home now when you're trying to explain Black Lives Matter to little ones?
Little humans are born with a great sense of justice. They know if their sister got one more than them. They understand justice, and it's not an abstract concept to explain to them. It's very visual, it's very obvious, and it's been everyone should be excited about this opportunity to let them know, hey, guess what? We didn't do this right, and you guys are going to figure out how to do this right.
So let us tell you what the problems are, or rather show you these visuals and let your intuition take over, because that's what we've done. We've shown them pictures of protesters that had white skin that had guns and protesters that had darker skin that were being tear gassed for holding a sign. And we said, do you see anything wrong with these pictures? We're taking this opportunity to be and stay uncomfortable within this conversation so that our children will have better ideas than this generation has had. And our children, thankfully, were like, yeah, that's not fair. There is a situation that needs fixing, and mommy and daddy are learning about it each and every day, how deep it runs, how systemic it is, and we are going to try to change the way the world is working.
This is great parenting. I love all of this. Daxs, I want to ask you, because you were on the Ellen show recently, and you shared that you were triggered by the term white privilege. And so I want you to explain, the story behind that, why you were, and what your reaction is like now.
Yeah, so, there's this great video online. I think a lot of people have seen it. This guy lines up all these kids on a start line, and he says, okay, if your parents stayed married, take 2 steps forward. If you never were insecure about food, take 2 steps forward. If your phone bill was never shut off, take 2 steps forward. If you had an SAT prep course, take 2 steps forward, right? And at the end of this, what you see is predominantly Black kids on the line, but white kids too. And I was of the opinion, I had all those ACEs, what they call ACEs, like accrued childhood trauma. I didn't feel particularly privileged. I grew up in a very modest background. There was violence. There were all these things that would have kept me on the line. So I very much was saying it doesn't feel too much like a privilege from my point of view. But when I step back from that defensiveness, I'm very open about being an addict. I'm 15 years sober. I, for a decade, traveled with drugs in my pocket. I would have been put in jail. There is no question. I'm in AA with Black dudes who have all served time doing the exact same thing I did. And it just hit me like, oh, I wouldn't have had a second chance. I would have been in prison with a really long sentence, and I don't get sober, and I don't meet Kristen. I don't do any of that stuff. And that's really no credit to myself other than I'm white. That's why I stayed out of the system.
What the privilege means.
Kristen, you wrote a children's book, The World Needs More Purple People. Tell us about the message behind your children's book.
It occurred to us that our kids were turning on the TV and they were seeing there's only 2 sides to choose from. You can be red or you can be blue. And our parents were talking about it and we were talking about it. There was debate, there was divisiveness, and it was all political conversations. So we thought, maybe this isn't the best thing for our kids to be absorbing. Maybe we need to talk about common ground and finding friendships, and then you can have a healthy debate once you respect someone. So we decided to use the color purple as this metaphor of you can see similarities between you and someone else, and then you can also celebrate differences. So we wrote a social identity roadmap, and this girl, Penny Purple, says, here's how to become a purple person. And we decided on the 5 inarguable, wonderful human characteristics. Purple people laugh a lot. Purple people work really hard. Purple people use their voice, because we thought, well, nobody can look at us and go, no, it's terrible to work hard and laugh a lot, right? Like, doesn't matter what side of an issue you're on. Those are great qualities.
It does factor into this, because it's really about in-group, out-group, right? We have all this wiring as Homo sapien sapien, this animal that's really good at identifying your in-group, the us, and the them. And we got to fight that and transcend that.
Listen, Kristen and Daxs, we so appreciate you, but we can't let you go without asking you about your Hello Velo baby products, because they are now available in Canadian stores. Tell us a little bit about the line and a little bit about the launch.
When we launched Hello Bello a couple years ago, we got numerous messages on social media to bring it to Canada. And last September, we did it online. You can go to hellobello.ca, and now you can find the stores near you that carry it. Because really, we wanted to create a premium baby line, and we're using a ton of great new technologies that are plant-based, that, to be honest, they're the most absorbent and softest diapers I have ever felt. And they simply don't leak. And they're
the cutest by a factor of 10.
We change the diaper patterns every cloths on them and wrenches for him. We get to choose all that stuff. So we just have fun with it. But accessibility and price point were 2 of our main priorities. We didn't just want to start a company. We wanted a for-profit, for-good company. So our first year in business, we gave away 1 million diapers. to countries all over the world, cities all over the world that were in need, because we were creating a community. Hello Bello is a community of parents that will be your village. And now we have them in brick and mortar stores in Canada because we want to spread the accessibility far and wide. And they're very low price points. We like to say that it's your mom's standards at your dad's prices.
Hey, you guys, this has been such a pleasure to have both of you with us. Like I said, Kristen, in your Canadian tuxedo, we appreciate the gesture. And listen, sending you the very, very best.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be right back right after this.